Good morning and welcome to Tailor Made, your daily dose of fashion and style as an opportunity. I'm your host, Brian Rodda, and we are here on emPOWERme.tv, where today I am joined by the Style Nurse, Miss Sandra Sarmonpal. Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning, Brian. It's a pleasure to be here on Tailor Made, and I'm ready to talk fashion.
Excellent. Well, let's get right to it. First up, we have some excellent Russian designers who were featured this week in W. There are four lovely ladies who are taking Russia in a whole new direction that I'd like to highlight here today. As we know, because of Russia's politics, they weren't given access to a lot of the brand name and top designers way back in the day, but in the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of the fashion trends open up there. And I think a lot of these women actually found these images in magazines, went to their tailor, had suits and dresses custom made for them, and then eventually became designers themselves. So part of this ilk, out of that ilk, came some the first two of these ladies are former Bolshoi ballerina dancers. The first one we have is Maria Bogdanovich, featured here in a lovely black and white gown. You know, a lovely pattern here. Not quite sure about the headpiece there. It feels a little bit Betty Rubble to me, but I think, you know, we see some classicism here, a throwback to the 50s, but with a modern twist. I think it's really elegant. And, you know, like I said, she's classically trained and has a beautiful line there with that ballerina body. Next up, we have Miss Olya Thompson. And this to me is really interesting. It's a mix of Frida Kahlo with, you know, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. We see, you know, the homage to the 50s again, but there's something about this piece for me that feels inherently modern. It has a clear point of view, you know, and this again is the designer in the gown herself, also a former ballerina, and she has moved in and out of Russia as well. I don't believe she's currently living there. Next we have Natalia Alaverdian, who has, you know, born in Russia, spent a lot of time in Belgium, very jet set, very European. Again, just this homage to, you know, classic 60s, 70s, but with a modern take. I love the white beads. This has an homage to a stewardess gown, stewardess outfit from the old days of yore. But I think it also looks very chic and very modern, and I think she can wear that throughout any era. And finally, we have Polina Kitsenko rocking some leather here, asymmetrical haircut, obviously with some patterns. You know, Polina is quoted in W saying, you know, it was easy to spot a Russian woman on the streets of Paris. She was blonde with sharp stilettos and her clothes were all tight and super short. Now, Russian women are looking at what's happening worldwide to determine how they shop and how they dress. And so which of these images, Sandra, is your favorite?
Well, I definitely like the first two. The first one, the ballerinas, they hold themselves with such elegance. And the first one is very, very ladylike and actually is sporting a trend that we're rocking today in the fall, which is the full midi skirt. I also really like the second ballerina. The cross between the sternness of Frida Kahlo and that austere dignity of Jacqueline Kennedy, I think is a real standing ground for like the 21st century woman and where we are today in this century.
I couldn't agree more. So congratulations to you, Russian designers. We look forward to seeing what you bring us next year and in the future and years to come. Next up, we have a very heartwarming project. It's called the Kwagala Project. As we know, everybody's talking about fair trade, what's happening out there in the world of fashion. Are the clothes we're putting on our backs, are they fair trade? All of these issues come into play when we always talk about fashion. And I found this story yesterday. I found to be very interesting. The Kwagala Project is empowering women in Uganda, and they are helping you know, former women who were you know, sex traffickers empower themselves one bead at a time by creating these lovely pieces and selling them to generate income and resources after they you know, start a new life for themselves. The CEO of the company is stated as saying, free thereafter is teaching them something that's viable to their community, but also we hope to leverage on our side, meaning it's something women will actually want to buy. So let's take a look at some of these bracelets, shall we? Here we have a nice blue necklace, or actually, sorry, blue bracelet, multi-layered beads there. Several other images here we see on both sides of the hands and the neck, a nice, lovely, low-hanging white necklace. And the third piece here is more the traditional garb. I think this is a really great story, and I love to see when fashionistas have a heart and empower people to do for themselves. Do you like to wear beads, Sandra?
I do. I think that it's very earthy, very tribal. Beads tend to be very tribal, and I love wearing them in the summer, but they're also great for fall, the way that it's presented in the images here, especially with the 2 wrist bracelets and then the statement necklace. Very gorgeous.
Yep.
And just a wonderful project.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And do you make a conscious effort when you go and purchase items? Do you look at if things are fair trade or not? Is that important to you?
I think it is, because we have an opportunity in fashion. I call it fashion that cares. When we use fashion to promote some good globally around the world and even within our own communities, I think that's a beautiful thing about fashion. It's more than just skin deep.
Got it.
Right. Yeah.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. Well, just so you know, while this show is live streaming, you can follow us, leave us comments on our Facebook page, Tailor Made the Series, or follow us on Twitter at TailorMadeBrian. And the reason I bring that up is because we want the show to be super interactive, which leads us to our next story on Mr. J. Tim himself. Justin Timberlake, ladies and gentlemen, is rocking it out. He is the #1 trending hashtag on Twitter this year, Mr. Justin Timberlake. He's had a banner year, music videos, movies, all of his songs are killing it. Obviously, he's dating Jessica Biel. Tough on that guy, right? Really rough life. But I think he actually did get a little criticism this week because maybe the movie that's coming out that he's in isn't going to quite do so well. It's proceeded not to. Sort of the buzz on the street is that it may not be the biggest blockbuster of the winter. But that being said, Justin Timberlake always is a king of style. So I picked 3 of his images from the last year where he really shows us what he's got. Even in his casual look here, you see he does put thought into it. He's got a nice hat. It is a basic cotton t-shirt, but it has a design. There's style to it. There's thought. There's effort. It doesn't take a lot for gentlemen to really step up their game, and just by putting the little bit of extra effort into what they put on their bodies every day to make a statement. Here we see him in a nice plaid suit, really rocking it out. I think, and again, I like this. What he did here was brilliant. Solid tie, solid shirt, solid pocket square, nice dark shoes. He really puts it all together by letting the suit speak for itself. And the third item, again, which I think is really sophisticated, if you look close at the detail on the jacket, from a distance it just looks like it's pure black. But really, there is a lot of detail and a little bit of color, a little bit of a purple on the embroidery of that jacket. So, Sandra, you are a style nurse and you mainly work with men. Are there any takeaways that you think are trending right now for men in general and what they can learn from perhaps Justin Timberlake's lead?
Well, fashion for the average person is very different than fashion for somebody who's in the fashion industry or the celebrity market. And I think that you hit on some really important points, Brian, when you said you talked a lot about the texture, the material, those subtle and nuanced ways that you can stand out and add some polish to your look. So it's more interesting, but still might allow you to go to work, to go to a function that might be more, require you to be a little bit more conservative and play around with different elements like that. Yeah.
I agree. Well, Justin Timberlake, it is those little details that matter, and that's probably, and I think you probably know, you're all about the details. The devil is in the details, as they say, and you extend that idea into all that you do, including what you put on your body. So kudos to you on being the #1 trending hashtag on Twitter and for being the style maven that you are. Next up, we have our final piece of the day. Tom Ford, who to me is the icon of all gentleman's style. I think he's been the reigning master of that for years. actually spoke yesterday. He was a keynote address at the CFDA Vogue Fashion Night Out, where he talked to a lot of upcoming designers and stylists about just being true to themselves. He is quoted as saying, "Trust your instincts, and when it comes to design, if your brand is to have a strong identity, it must come from you." Here he is featured with Julianne Moore, who for me is always a hit or miss on the red carpet. I think it's hard for redheads. I think they have a harder choice of what they can and cannot wear. Obviously, I like the fact that Julianne Moore is wearing red there with her fiery red hair, instead of always going to the green, which, as we know on the color wheel, is the opposite color there. But obviously her and Tom Ford are very good friends. We have a lot of other great images from the event that Tom Ford spoke at. First up, we have Oscar de la Renta, another style icon. You know, I have a quick story about Oscar de la Renta, which is really fun. For a while, years ago, I was a personal assistant to somebody who shall remain nameless. But Oscar de la Renta sent over a gown to the house, and when it showed up, I went to my employer and I said, "Mrs. There's a gown that's arrived for you from Mr. De La Renta, and it's by Hermes," which, you know, for those of you who know what that's a huge faux pas, because obviously the brand is Hermes. It was my first foray into the fashion world back then, and it shows you what a long way I've come, and what a nice guy Oscar De La Renta is. So that was my one personal connection to Oscar De La Renta. So it's really great to see he's out at events still, making his name and brand known. Next up, we have here another lovely Anna Wintour. Like yesterday, we talked about how spring is coming, stark whites and blacks. This is an homage to that. This is a New York event, so it's colder there, and obviously black is more of a popular color. Anna Wintour, always classic. And next, we have Zach Posen. I want to get your commentary on this, Sandra, because Zach is a designer, and he's wearing the three-piece here, but there's a really low hanging vest there, which has a real 1950s vibe to it. And I think he's really rocking it, though. It's not black. We're seeing colors and suits again. And I really like the three-piece, and he really, I think, gets away with this swimmingly. Is this something you would recommend to your clients, Sandra?
Well, I think that what he's wearing there is perfect for him. It's edgy. He's a fashion designer, and he's spot on with that look. But for the average, for depending on the event or where you're going, it might not be appropriate for everybody. A lot of times, that's why we're talking about playing with the textures and the patterns, because that allows you to kind of walk the line, be a little bit edgy, but kind of stay within the boundaries of, you know, if you're not in an artistic field or in fashion or a celebrity like Zach is.
For your everyday gentleman.
Yeah. But he looks fabulous. I love, love, love that look.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And the final image here we have from the event is the Malavi sisters, who, you know, are really just my new favorite muses. I just love that these two, the designers from Rodda, never smile. They are melancholy. If melancholy had a name, it would be the Malavi sisters. And, you know, they're just very fun. I just like throwing images up there on the screen because they're the Malavi sisters, and this is what we do. We do mod, and we do it well. All right, well, before we wrap up here, I asked each of our guest co-hosts to bring with them their favorite item, something personal to them, something that, you know, they want to talk about that makes them feel good when they put it on their body. We call this segment Under the Feather Boa. Let's see what we have here. I think I'll do a little bit of whoop-de-doo here. So what did you bring in today, Sandra?
Well, I brought something in that I've had in my closet actually for a very long time, but it's trending right now for fall.
Okay.
For women. It is the full midi skirt. And we've been talking a lot about the 50s look, and a lot of that retro is coming back. And right now, that's the big thing on the runways, everything like that for fall.
A full mini skirt.
A full midi skirt, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
well, I love this. What is the brand?
Well, I actually got that at a retailer that's based out of Chicago. I don't know if you ever heard of it, Akira. They've kind of gone national. They're in a lot of magazines now. But I actually went to college, my undergrad, with the owners of the boutique. So when I first got that was when they had just had one store. And now the trend is coming back. So that's kind of why I picked it for for the show.
It's perfect.
Timeless fashion. It comes back. It's a little bit of tribal.
This almost feels like your black little black dress. This is something you like easy to put on. You would say you wear this like what, once a month? Is that how often you wear this, or?
Well, you know, this trend has just come back, so I haven't actually had a chance to wear it to anything yet because we've just been hearing about the trend and it's been out for a while.
Yeah.
So I think that you can wear it to, depending on how you dress it, definitely with something narrow on top. Yes.
Excellent. So, how about the detailing on this? Is this, or actually, what is the price point, if you don't mind me saying? Is it reasonable? Is this mid-range, high range?
Well, just like any other fashion item, you can find that trend in whatever budget that you have. So you can go very high end with this look, and you can go, you know, more affordable, more budget friendly.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, this is a really nice piece. So glad you brought it in. It tells us a lot about you and who you are. That's all the time we have for Tailor Made today. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at TailorMadeBrian. And before we go, Sandra, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me anytime at stylenurse.com, Brian.
Excellent. Well, until tomorrow, stay styling and keep enjoying fashion as an opportunity. See you tomorrow. You're watching Tailor Made with Brian Rodda on emPOWERme.tv. Be sure to watch us on YouTube and Daily Motion, and like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.